Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about a new requirement that's coming into effect in 2024 that will literally affect every business and every investor because there will be such broad reporting requirements and the penalties will be huge for this. I'm talking huge. You want to know this in advance and you want to make sure that you're prepared and you're also making the right decisions that go into this so that you're not creating such an administrative and costly burden to keep up with this new requirement. So let's dive in. First, we need to know where this comes from. There's a bureau that is part of the US Treasury Department, and this is called FinCen, which stands for the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. And essentially what their job is to collect financial information, analyze it, and make sure that basically you aren't doing anything illegal. So that's where this is all coming from. And FinCen has been around for a long time, and there's been a lot of reporting requirements. For example, under the Bank Secrecy Act that's been around for a very long time, which requires banks to report deposits over 10,000, requires suspicious deposit reporting, among other things. Well, this is similar, but this really targets businesses more. This new requirement will affect LLCs, but it could also affect other types of business entities. LLCs are probably the most common, so I'm probably going to refer to those a lot throughout the video. This new reporting requirement will start in 2024, and it will require LLCs and other businesses to fill out what's called a report of beneficial ownership of legal entity customers, or the BOE form. This form will require LLCs to report certain information about owners or beneficial owners that own 25% or more of the entity. This will also require reporting of any people that have control over the LLC. So you may own less than 25%, but if you're a manager and you can make decisions on behalf of it, so in other words, you exercise some sort of control over it, then you will probably have to be included on this form with the LLC. This form requires the full legal name, social security number or passport number, date of birth, residential or business address, date on which the individual became a beneficial owner, and the percentage of ownership. There are two different timelines for when this will become effective. The difference is whether you're an entity that existed prior to January 1st of 2024 or you were created after January 1st, 2024. If you're a new entity, you have 30 days from the time that the entity is created in order to file this form, so not a lot of time. Now, I said that this is going to cost you potentially thousands of dollars, and this is why. The penalties are huge. Every day that you don't file, you accrue a $500 penalty up to $10,000 per form. So that's up to $10,000 for one missed form for this LLC reporting this information. So you can see how that would quickly add up if you have a lot of LLCs or businesses, especially businesses that have multiple business structures, meaning you have maybe a holding company and LLCs under it. You have to do the reporting for all of those, not just the top one. Or, a lot of investors will have a different LLC for different investments, especially in real estate. Well, every one of those LLCs is going to have to file this form, and each one of those is going to have separate penalties that are applicable to them. Now, if you intentionally ignore this requirement, you could face criminal charges. The penalties are really civil, and so that just means if you legitimately forgot to report or reported in error, then those penalties would potentially apply. But if you know of this requirement and you intentionally don't report it or you report incorrect information, then you could be subject to criminal charges. So this is a big deal. Remember, I said that LLCs are the most common, so it will apply to those. Well, those aren't the only types of entities that this will apply to. This will also apply to corporations or basically any entity that you're creating by filing a document with the Secretary of State. So that is most entities, and that could be limited partnerships, limited liability partnerships, general partnerships. Really, most entity types are going to be subject to this. Now, I know what you're thinking, because I'm thinking the same exact thing. What a pain. This is going to be so much administrative burden just to keep up with it. And who's going to file it every year? Are you going to file it, or are you going to have your attorney or your CPA file it? And now you're incurring more fees and costs of business. I'm not too excited about this. Of course, the purpose is really to protect us and prevent people from getting away with things that they shouldn't, and hopefully preventing money from leaving our economy or not being reported, people not paying their fair share of tax, among other things. So I get the reason behind it, but geez, this is going to be pretty awful. So Hopefully you learned something here. Remember, bring this up with your lawyer or your CPA. Find out what you need to do. Start getting everything in place now so that you don't miss these deadlines and don't incur these huge penalties. I'll see you guys in the next video.